I'm actually really honored to be up here standing with my children. And I brought them up here for a reason, because there's so many of you guys out there who feel like your life stops, right? Once you have kids. But I'll tell you guys, mine just began because they became a bigger reason why. So I'll just give you guys a little bit of background. We were in Austin and we were on stage. The kids were supposed to be on stage with me. And by the time they got there, they already pulled me off. And so Chloe wanted to be on stage. So this was my promise to her. So tell everybody hi. You say hi, Chloe?
Hi.
Say hi, Carson. Alright, you can go ahead and take them off stage. Bye, baby. Tell everybody bye-bye. Say, Go Empower Network.
Go Empower Network.
Go Empower. Thank you. Well, I brought them on stage because I wanted to share a little bit about myself with those of you who don't know me. And to also share with you guys that this is an opportunity for everyone. We all come from all different kinds of backgrounds, different kinds of experiences, and I want you guys to know that you're at the right place at the right time with the most amazing leadership. And I wanted to do something, I saw these guys come up here on stage and take their shoes off, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be like that first chick on stage without shoes, right? Doing that because I realize that this is an environment where it's all about being yourself. Dave shared that last night, right? It's all about being yourself. And I know being in businesses before, you got to put on airs, you got to dress and put on this facade and try to pretend and want to blend in and kind of want to win people over. But this is an environment where finally you can get paid to be you. So guys, I only have a few minutes here. I just want to talk to you guys. I want to share a few things that I've learned about what it takes to create success. But I brought my daughter on this stage because the reason why I'm on this stage is because what my mom did for me. I'm from Los Angeles. Any LA folks in the house? Woo! Cali is representing. But I'm from Los Angeles, and where I grew up is inner city Los Angeles. But my mom worked out in Santa Monica with some stockbrokers. She used to work for Payne Weber. So I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day. But she had all these great friends making all this money in the 80s. And they had a chance to live in Pacific Palisades and Malibu and Beverly Hills. And one of the things that my mom loved to do with us on the weekend was drive us through the hills and show us these big mansions. And we would talk about it and we would dream about it. And she would just say, Nikki, look here. And she would always tell me, I want you to be anything you desire to be in life. One of the things with my mom, however, is she had her first child at 16. And by the time she was 24, she had 4 children and absolutely no help. So one of the things that she told me was, don't get married and don't have any babies. Just go travel and see the world, right? And her concern was that we would get stuck. But I brought my kids out here because I got married and my husband. I don't want to forget him. But I brought my husband and my children because I got married, I had babies, and we're traveling and seeing the world together. So, and I'm sharing that because a lot of times, guys, we feel like it's a compromise. And they just want to be on stage. That's okay. It's okay. Say hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right, go back with Daddy. Go back with Daddy. Okay, go back with Daddy. Go back with Daddy. But I'm sharing that because exposure is everything. That's what my point is. Exposure is everything. See, because my mom took me through those hills, it gave me a question of what do these people do for a living that they live like this? Odds are hello. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So the point is that we all have those moments in life where exposure to something created desire, right? It created desire. I think this thing is giving feedback. We're getting it together, right? All right, switcheroo. This is what life is like, right? It's not always perfect. So you don't panic, you keep it moving. The show must go on. Gotta go on. Don't, look, this is the beautiful beautiful thing about Empower, you guys, there's no facade and no front. It is what it is, right? Everything is not perfect. Everything won't all be as smooth as you desire it to be. There'll be issues that you'll come across, detours, challenges, and all that good stuff. You got to learn to navigate around it. But back to the story is that because my mom gave me exposure to these big, beautiful homes, what it did was it created a desire in me to figure out what in the world do I need to do to become rich and live like that. Okay? Now, over my life, I went through a course of detours and challenges. I had an issue being in school. I didn't like school. So like Dave Sharp, I dropped out in the 9th grade. I was bored. But I did end up getting back in school and going to college. But I knew that sitting in the classroom and listening to the stories that I was listening to learning the stuff that they were teaching in class and listening to the stories of the kind of life they lived did not run hand in hand with what I saw in Malibu and Beverly Hills. And I was like, I don't want to do what they're doing. I don't want to get up and be a zombie going to work every day. That's just not for me. So after college, I decided to become a waitress for 3 years at Red Lobster until I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. But I got introduced to network marketing. And network marketing was the closest avenue to getting that rapid income outside of becoming a celebrity or an athlete or anything like that. And it was that journey down network marketing, getting access and exposure to people having the finer things that put me in a position to begin to dream big, to begin to read books, to begin to realize that I was on the right path to building wealth and creating success. Long story short, I'm standing on this stage today because I got into real estate. How many of you guys were in real estate? Back in 2003, 2004, 2005, where it was booming. You made all this ridiculous amount of money even if you didn't know what you were doing. But then 2007 came and what happened? A crash. The market crashed. All the stuff that we had acquired and built up, I was making boatloads of cash, buying real estate like I was Donald Trump. I would buy all kind of houses. Thought I was going to flip houses. You guys remember all those flipping housing shows on TLC? Make you think you can just go buy any kind of property and fix them up, rehab them, sell them, make $1 million overnight? Well, that was my attempt. But it fell apart, and when it fell apart, we lost everything. Broke, bankrupt, foreclosed, repo, homeless, welfare. And the funny thing about being on welfare is when you're college educated and come from making a boatload of cash, it doesn't make sense when you're sitting in there looking at the lady asking you all these myriad of questions and humiliating you to give you $400 a month. Doesn't make any sense. But the beautiful thing about that journey, guys, is that that desire in me and that hunger to know and remember how those wealthy people got to where they were, it continued to mount in me a quest to figure out my own journey. While I was sitting in the welfare office and going through that whole process, I was pregnant with my first child, Chloe. I was looking for jobs, and when you're pregnant, you can't get a job. Nobody wants to hire you. They're like, have the baby and come on back and we'll hire you. But I got online. I was looking for jobs, couldn't get a job. I got online and began to try to figure out, how do you make money online? How can I work from home? And I would come across all these different guys standing in front of the pyramids of Egypt and big jets and talking about how they make money doing nothing. And so I said, well, there's something going on here. I need to try to figure it out. That pursuit led me to Miss Tracy Walker. You guys know Tracy? And I saw her online doing all these things, looking like a celebrity. Began to follow her, began to try different things. And as I began to dig into what internet marketing was all about, guys, one thing that I realized that was here was a skill set that can make you very rich. If you look, how many of you read Inc. magazine, Fortune magazine, Money magazine? Okay, if you read those magazines, on the front cover, there's generally a bunch of 20 and 30-something-year-olds, right? Because they started some kind of tech company. And they're extremely rich. Well, when I got on the internet and I began to dig into what we were doing, I realized that there was a skill here that equated to wealth. And instead of chasing the money, I said, well, let me go ahead and learn how to do what these big boys are doing, because there was a bunch of guys making a boatload of cash, but I wanted to know how to operate it from behind the scenes so that I can earn my way into the industry and start making money. And that was 5 years ago. We began to dig in. We spent 18-hour days, guys, on the computer day and night. You guys fuss when you're only on there for an hour writing a blog post. But Tracy and I had to learn HTML, create our own blog, and lose it like 5 times to have to recreate it again. But what I've discovered in this entire journey, and why I'm sharing this with you guys, is because at the end of the day, it's about developing a skill set that creates intellectual property within your mind where you have so much value that when you begin to exchange it with other people, they can't wait to pay you money. You see, it's really good to be a speaker and be inspiring, but what are you giving people that's going to add value to their life to make them propel further into places where they never thought they would go? A lot of us want to be rich, but when you sit down and try to have a conversation with someone, you don't have anything to give them. So what I want to share with you guys, I actually started reading this book, and I thought about this in our own journey. It's called Start by John Acuff. Okay? And he has on here, punch fear in the face, escape average, and do work that matters. Okay? And he has this little picture here where you can turn the switch from average to awesome. And I want to share with you guys the 5 steps to creating an extraordinary life and to building wealth, because when I look at my journey and I read this book, I said, you know what? This is the step that every single millionaire, every single successful entrepreneur, every person that has gotten into their own rightful path and their own rightful journey where other people have acknowledged them and other people look up to them and other people believe in them, is because they follow these 5 steps that he talks about here in this book. And for those of you who are in here, you've tried a myriad of things and you're saying to yourself, I know I'm good enough. How many of you say that? I know I have what it takes to succeed, but there's just a little something missing, right? So what I want to do, I have about 8 minutes. I want to go through this. Are y'all following me? Okay, is this making sense? Okay. All right, so one of the things that he does is he talks about what he did. He works with Dave Ramsey. And he began to think about success. And he went through Dave Ramsey's life and kind of mapped out his journey. And he found these 5 areas that led him to where he is today. And I need you guys to write this down because this applies to all of us. What he did is he explained that there's 5 stages of life that we go through, or the person who pursues awesome goes through, not the average person. I don't think we have any people in here that want to be average, right? We choose the road less traveled. Y'all remember that poem by Robert Frost? And it has made all the difference, right? The first stage he talks about, and he does it as a parallel to life, is your first stage is learning. And what he shares is usually, you know, when you think about life and the growth patterns in our 20s, we're learning who we are. We're learning what we like. We're discovering what we don't like. We're going through all of the experiences where we're trying to see what crowd we want to hang with. You know, we're getting to know what our flavor is, who we are. This is kind of when you're trying to figure out your purpose in life. But then he goes on, he says, after you go through this learning phase and discovering who you are, and you begin to build some confidence in who you are, you get to the editing phase. The second phase is editing. And what happens is editing is when you start getting comfortable with saying no to some things, right? If you think about in your 20s, you go to college and you do what mom and dad tells you to do. And by the time you're 30, you realize, I hate my life. I'm doing what everyone else has told me to do, and I'm not going to do it any longer. So the second phase is editing. And this, I'm using it as a parallel to age, but it's just cycles. Some of us progress faster than others, okay? But the second stage is editing. When you start saying no, and you start getting comfortable with who you are, and you make a decision to focus on going in your own path. The third phase is mastering. Mastering. It's when you identify where you are, what you're good at, what you want to pursue, and you choose to zone in on it and master it. After you've mastered it, the fourth phase is harvesting. Once you've mastered something, you're able to reap a harvest, which means you start making the money from the time that you've put in, from the process that you've gone through. Does that make sense? And once you've mastered it, the fifth phase is guidance. you begin to go back and guide other people. Because you've picked up a skill, you've made a decision, you've established a focus, and you've mastered something that gives you the credibility to go back and pour into someone else. That, my friends, is a cycle of success. Okay? Now let me apply that to what we do, because we are in the most amazing, progressively fast opportunity this is something that I feel was birthed just for you, Empower Network. This company was created for you for such a time as this. Because there's no other opportunity that I've ever seen, no other community, no other CEOs and leaders that have the desire to change your life like Dave and Dave. It's not what they say when they're on stage, it's what they're telling us when we're behind the closed doors. And they're telling us it's your job to remember that these people out here are where you were when you first got started, and your responsibility is to pour hope into them, to let them know that they can be just like you and get on this stage. That's their focus. So let me tell you how you can get on stage. Who wants to get on stage? So the way that you do that here at Empower Network, ladies and gentlemen, is that number one, acknowledge the value in the products that we have. Okay? Some of us, we live our lives saying, I don't know what I'm good at. What is my purpose? I went through that through my 19 and 20-year-old. It's like, who am I? I would look in the mirror and be like, why am I here? I can't sing. I don't think I'm smart. I'm tall, but I'm clumsy. Like, what am I going to do with this height? I would go through all these phases of who am I? I would look at my hands and say, I'm alive. I have the power to do things, but what am I supposed to do? Anybody went through that phase? Right? Sometimes we still go through it. But I began to realize that it's about what you learn through your stories and your journeys that gives you the opportunity to come back and to pour into other people. And when we got into internet marketing, I realized that all the hours of us sitting down at that computer and learning the skill, remember the first thing is learning the skill of marketing, internet marketing. Getting out there and realizing how much power you have to convey a message to the entire world using things like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. You have an opportunity to convey a message. In Empower Network, guys, you need to identify what you want to learn, because this is a skill set that will pay you. And you invest in learning the information that are in these products. How many of you are actually listening to the products? So here's what you need to do. Guys, don't try to master everything. Identify, I'll say 2 areas, right? If you want to learn blogging, if you want to learn video, that's it, right now. A lot of us would love to be Vic, but I can't roll with Vic right now. Just can't. No. I'm learning from Vic, but I can't go out here, and do some of the things that he's doing yet. I'm learning by watching him, but I'm doing what Nicole needs to do to get to her own path. So what you have to do is identify, what do you want to learn? Figure out what you want to learn. My gift is videos. That's all I do. Turn on videos and put them on YouTube and people sign up. Identify what you want to learn. Pick 2 things. Once you identify what you want to learn, go into the training. If you have, especially all of you that have 15K, go into the 15K. If you say, I want to master video, watch all the trainings associated with video. You want to master blogging, watch all the videos associated with blogging, all the trainings, go through the study guide. What you then do, you edit. After you've watched the training, put a checklist together, okay? So they're going to give you tips and strategies of what you need to do, and they're showing you all their ninja secrets. Well, identify those ninja secrets, okay? Write them down as a checklist, all right? And then master them. The mastering them is taking action. What I do, I watch the trainings, I find out the steps that they're telling you to take, I make it a checklist, and every single day, I'll go through doing that activity, and I'll check things off as I get them done, and I'm mastering that skill. All right? Then you'll begin to harvest, because mastering is associated with taking action. All right? It's associated with taking action. As you're mastering them, guys, you will begin to reap a harvest, but you can turn right back around and you can start guiding other people on what you've done to get results. Guys, it's not a secret. It's not a miracle. It's not some random occurrence that we're just so smart and genius and better than any of you. It's that we've done those 5 stages. So let's go through them really quick. Say them with me. What's the first one? What's the second? What's the third? What's the fourth? What's the fifth? Once you do that, ladies and gentlemen, you will be on stage, babies and all, husband and all, and you'll be able to do it saying that you work from the comfort of your own home. Guys, I work from the comfort of my own home, made over $300,000 in the past however many months, and that's while raising a 1-year-old, brand new baby really, and a 5-year-old. So if I can do it, what? So I look forward to seeing you guys on stage at the next event.